Welcome to another broadcast of the Deborah Ruffini Show on the Artist First Radio Network. All past broadcasts are podcasts. Find them at artistfirst.com. And now, your host, live from England, here she is. It's Deborah Ruffini.
Greetings from England. This is Deborah Ruffini with another broadcast of the Deborah Ruffini Show. Today it is my absolute pleasure to be speaking with the lovely Kian on the subject of human sexuality and attraction. Kian is very insightful and the son of my dearest buddy I've known since I was 4 years of age. So, Kian, lovely to have you with us. How are you doing?
Oh, thank you very much for having me. I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
Oh, that's good. Yeah, absolutely fine. It's not quite. It's funny speaking to a fellow UK friend because usually they're in the States, and it's so we can now agree on what the weather's been like.
Oh, definitely. Am I the first person in the UK to feature on the show?
For a long time, I think. No, I think I have had people near it, closer to home, but it's been quite a while. So, and it's nice that there's no time difference as well.
Yeah, it's not too bad. One of us isn't too tired at the time of recording, at least.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm not making the mistake of like throwing you at 3 a.m, something like that. I wouldn't want to do that. It has happened before. We've got it wrong. So we're going to be speaking about the subject of the interesting subject of human sexuality and attraction, and I think we could sort of go on for a long time about this because it's like a never-ending thing. But so to the audience, this wasn't at all planned for today's show, but I was watching a very mesmerising clip yesterday of the lovely Tori Amos back in the early 90s. That's aging me. Before your time, Kian. Sorry, what year were you born?
So I was born in 2002. Oh
my goodness, that was yesterday.
Is it rude to ask you the year you're born?
1971. That's like, and you know you're old when you got to fill your date of birth and you're scrolling down saying, no, it's got to stop now. You say, oh damn, it's 71. 2002, my goodness. So yeah, you had missed it a long time. So she was performing a song called Winter. And you did you see this clip at all?
I think I have seen this clip, yeah.
Oh, you have?
I think I know the one you're on about, yeah.
I don't know whether she floated your boat, but she certainly floated mine.
See, I don't know if it was the fact maybe it was a little bit dated, because I think it was from the 1990s. To me, it didn't move me too much, but I can understand it from another person's perspective, I think.
Yeah, and I guess, and going back to what we've spoken before, we have sort of like, various taste in things, and on a sort of superficial level where you don't know the person yet, but you think, oh, hang on, ding dong.
Yeah, and I don't know if that maybe straight away comes down to what the male perception of attraction is and female attraction is already. So I don't know if, because the video that you're referring to, which was very, I'd say she was like dancing, like speaking in a certain way.
Yeah.
And you can tell there's quite like an emotional connection with her to the audience.
Yes, yeah.
I think is maybe a certain trait a female would find attractive. Is that a bit more of an emotional connection with someone?
Oh, okay.
I'd say from a male perspective, I'm much more. It's a much more visual stimulus as opposed to getting that emotional connection. I don't know if that's something you agreed with.
That's interesting. Yeah, no, that does make sense, because I was just I've shared before, I'm sure in previous broadcasts, a woman of same-sex attraction as I am. I was kind of almost hypnotized by this incredibly stunning woman, and it just made me sort of think. And to the audience, Kian is very, very handsome. And no, I'm speaking the truth. He's very, very handsome, and no offense to any other guys, but just, for a gay woman, she can't, finding someone and thinking someone is a different sort of thing. But it begged the question in my mind: how on earth can anyone feel this same way about the beauty of men? Because kind of women are pretty, men are handsome. And so for me, it was like, is it a possibility that men and women are, how can I say it, visually fancied with a different sort of attraction.
Yeah,
I don't know what you think about that.
I do agree with that slightly. I think there are certain traits which men and women both find attractive in different ways. As I said before, for males, it's very much they'll see someone they're visually attracted to, and that will often be just enough. Whereas the women, if they don't have that sort of emotional connection with someone, I think they do lose that connection and they lose that attraction.
Okay. Yeah.
Also, with males, from my own perspective, I think there is also a certain attitude which is quite attractive in women.
Okay.
Whether that be if they're quite kind, quite caring, quite open-minded. And I think maybe from a woman's perspective, I don't know, I might be wrong when saying this, you can correct me, but I think there's a bit more of a attraction in maybe intelligence. If they have a certain resource or status, that can often be something they find a bit more that draws them in.
Okay. Yeah. That does make sense. Yeah, and sometimes I think, sort of like crush on superficial level of just that person that passes your door every lunchtime or something, or you don't need to know that person, but there's just that they make you go a bit fuzzy. But there's a difference, isn't there, between the superficial and the getting to know them, which can sometimes, you may not find them visually attractive, but then it's just something that kind of clicks. But yeah, so it's interesting, the difference between men and women, like the emotional could be. I wonder why that is. It must be built differently. It's funny because they're still people, we're still humans, but there's just this massive. I've never read the book Men Are From Mars, Women From Venus, but it's that sounds like it's possibly a good read. And it raises the question also about how does it feel for a bisexual person who has the same sort of nature of feeling over men and women, to switch from the rush of feminine to a rush of masculine. That's quite mind-blowing, I think. And it's multitasking. That's multitasking.
Yeah. I wonder how that could be any different. But I thought an interesting thing I've read the other day in one of these articles somewhere is, do you know this connotation when you get sort of this old-looking man who's loaded and he's with this model in her 20s, and she often gets tarnished as being a gold digger. There is some truth in that. They actually do find that man attractive, but because he's got all this resource and status, that in itself has genuinely made her attracted to him. So even though he may look nowhere in the same league as her, that there's still a genuine connection because that is something they're just really attracted to and makes them actually fall in love with that person. So,
that's interesting. So so it's not purely just the fact that he's minted, it's just that there's the fact that he maybe worked hard. Because women are attracted to sort of workers and protectors. And that could be.
You can see a good life with him, and so I think it's quite an interesting point, because so many times I've seen people think, they're just with them for the money, which is true to a certain extent, but that is what attracted them and kept them there. That makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. And you've also got is it saphiosexual? Which hang on, maybe I've got that wrong. That's attraction to intellect or the mind. What's that? I think that could be another aspect of, it's
interesting on that point of particularly status. If a man, let's say, sees a woman and she's working in, I don't know, like a fast food chain, she's not got the most ambitious of jobs, he would still, if she was still at a certain level of attractiveness, he would still want to pursue her and still have genuine interest in her. Whereas I think if a man was doing the same job and the woman was viewing her, I think that would be something that would potentially put her off from looking at him as a potential realistic partner in the future. So I think it's quite
That's
an interesting
Yeah.
view, maybe, how men. I mean, I'm very doing it on averages here. I'm sure there is some people who wouldn't like that, and some people who would. But I think on the whole, it's usually seen as females would want someone with a bit more career drive and ambition, whereas men don't really care too much about that.
Does that go back, a certain element of that going back to men maybe more visually driven rather than, I don't care what she does, but as long as she looks good?
Yeah, maybe also historically it's seen as men have been the providers. I know obviously social norms are changing currently, so I think maybe there's a part of that where they don't really see it as they need to find someone who's successful or anything. Their main view is there someone that can be caring towards me and I can start a potential family with. Actually,
yes. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and they say about sort of women quite often they want sort of not necessarily father figures, but they look for daddy in not on a disturbing level, of course, but you know they sort of look for fatherly traits. Again, being nurtured, being looked after. That could be interesting.
This whole idea of maybe women who didn't grow up with sort of a fatherly figure in their life, how does that then affect their relationships further down the line?
Oh, well, yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It might be in a positive or negative way. They typically do then look for someone who's maybe that little bit older.
Yes, that makes sense.
Who can sort of replace that they didn't have in their childhood in some sort of psychology background.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting actually. That's because I suppose our sort of parents can shape us to a degree of who we could sort of turn out to be or what we could look for. And it's all interesting. Now we spoke the last time we had a chat. You mentioned Kian's got a very interesting perspective on how men and women may cheat differently, and I'd never considered this before. And do open up on this one. Elaborate on this one.
Yeah, so
not that Kian's a cheat. Sorry.
Sorry.
I didn't mean open up as in.
Yes, my own personal view on men cheating and women cheating. I do think they're two very different experiences. I think men tend to cheat based purely more on a sexual desire, physical gratification, and getting that validation. Whereas women, I think, would cheat more so when they're emotionally dissatisfied in their own relationship.
Yeah.
And they're trying to find that connection with someone else. Where I think guys definitely have the capability of, they want to find a new or not permanent sexual experience just to get that validation. And I think men definitely do seek a bit more variety in their sexual experience, whereas maybe women do it from a view of there is a lack of intimacy in their own relationship, or they're not emotionally getting everything they need.
Yeah.
So I think they're the two driving factors between why men and women cheat. And because it's more of an emotional thing for women, I think they're more likely to enter into affairs where they do sort of have multiple relationships going on at the same time. Whereas I think men could stay in their relationship and they would cheat maybe like on a 1 or 2 night thing.
Yeah.
And then not speak to that person again. So I think the cheating is slightly different in that sense.
Yeah, I'd never considered that before, but I think you're probably right. I think it's it's an interesting one. And I was considering certain films that came into my mind, like I don't know if you've seen Misery. Again, that's an old film.
No, I've not seen that one.
It's the whole storyline. Basically, it's Kathy Bates, and she's completely doolally, and that's the official term for it, doolally. She finds her favourite author. I think he's he's had a car accident and it's in the snow and everything, and I mustn't lose my thread with this. You get to my age and you go off on a tangent. I have to come back to the point. So basically, she finds him and she keeps him locked up, and she makes out that the roads are closed and the telephone lines are gone. She keeps him sort of tied up in the bed. But there's this scene where she kind of ties his ankles together, and I think he's tried to get out. He's realised that she's a bit of a head case and a bit dangerous. And but she's basically obsessed with him, and she I think she takes a hammer to his ankles at some point, and it's, so in a nutshell. So the point I'm trying, and you've also got, I think it's Fatal Attraction that if you haven't seen, you probably heard about the bunny boiler, the woman stalking the man. Yeah, it's Glenn Close, I think it is. So it's just like these kind of females who are so obsessed with their men, and again going back to the emotional element, they're just sort of got these obsessions with these blokes, and Kathy Bates can't let him, what if Annie Wilkes is her character name, can't let him go, and then you've got the whatever Glenn Close's character is, can't, she boils the kid's bunny in the on the stove or something. And I was just thinking, what films have you got with men that are obsessed with, and there probably are a fair few, but I couldn't think of like a reverse. And again, going back to the emotional, would it be less intense? What you've just mentioned about is more of a visually driven, like going back to the affairs, and would it be as likely to have? Which of course it does. You get stalkers and male stalkers, but it was just sort of interesting thinking about.
And I don't know if you have this perspective as well, but would you say that there's sort of a social double standard that woman infidelity is often judged a bit more harshly than male?
Yes. Yeah.
And I wonder if that then does come down to maybe when women cheat, it's typically more of a longer term thing.
Yeah, that's yeah. I think you're right. I think the cheating between the two sexes is thought of very differently, and unfairly so. And I think it all comes down to, again, thinking of the two genders in a very different way, and it's equally serious. But it's funny how we think of, just because the sex has changed, it's how that it's. And we also mentioned about, are we programmed by society to be, because I think polyamory is still, it's still sort of like, oh, you're greedy, it's dirty, it's frowned upon. Yeah. Whereas we live in I think life is a bit different. I mean, I personally wouldn't engage in that, but I think there's more things that seem to be morally acceptable now than maybe even sort of 20 odd years ago, or whether is it society that programs us to be monogamous?
I would say I think from some of the evolutionary point, I don't think monogamy or humans were strictly monogamous,
right?
Sort of like many other primates that we see now. I think I've also seen that some research does show that there's a biological inclination towards seeking multiple partners.
Oh.
And I do believe that, and I think you see it maybe now. I've only got the statistic for the UK, so I'm not too sure what the figures are in the US for the US viewers. But it's saying 42% of marriages in the UK end in divorce.
Wow.
Which I think is quite obviously is a very high number. Almost 1 in 2 will fail. So I don't know if that is some sort of evidence that monogamy doesn't work too well in societies, and that's obviously only the marriages that have actually gone through a divorce. However many of them, we don't know if they're happy or not. But I definitely think there is a trajectory in recent times where a lot of couples aren't staying together for as long as maybe our grandparents or their grandparents did in history before.
Yeah.
So there's many reasons I think we're going to talk about later on, why that could be the case. But I definitely think monogamy is good for social stability.
Yes. Yeah.
And there was probably a point in history as well where it was parental investment increased the offspring survival back in the cavemen or whatever ages it was. But I do think, especially now, maybe humans are living longer than ever.
Yeah.
Is it realistic to be with one person and marry one person for the whole of your life? I'm not too sure if it is.
Yeah. And also, today things are more, in a sense, we're freer. I mean, back then you sort of stuck with it because of the social stigma about divorce, and it was like, oh no, we can't bring this shame upon the family, and it's so I think it's more accepted now. And thankfully we do, because then you can escape something that's horrid rather than I've got to stick with it and I've got to allow him to beat me up every Saturday night and push me down the stairs. So thankfully we do have that option. And I think also, I don't know, I mean, it's another area to go down maybe for another time, but I think there's less religious programming now. So there was a lot more people sort of went to church, or not necessarily were actually religious, but they just went, it was the done thing. And so now there's less people attending to have shame thrown on them. You're free.
That is it definitely is true what you mentioned about religion there, because I've only done the statistic for the UK, which is, I mean, religion isn't extremely prominent in UK as it once was. And I had an experience of living in Texas for a year, and Texas, in terms of religious beliefs to what I'm used to in the UK, was completely like nothing I've ever experienced before.
Wow.
People were extremely religious there, and that also showed through them getting married at a really early age to what I'm used to. My friends out there, because I lived out there when I was like 20/21, and there's people who were that age getting married, which in England is really young to be getting married.
Yes, isn't it?
And because they have such strong religious principles that I suppose marriage is quite a big concept still over there, and they value it and try and work on their marriages more.
Yeah.
So I definitely think religion has quite a big part to play in monogamy, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of, although it's not an arranged marriage as such, there's this pressure of having to meet someone. I know, because I'm a minister's daughter, and the expectancy of, I failed that dismally then. The expectancy to sort of like, meet and marry a good, Christian boy, and it's got to be the same denomination. You've got to have exactly the same views, and I think it's doing things to please other people a lot of the time.
Definitely.
And it's very it is an interesting one. The whole religious like you say, the structure can be for the good, but it's not when it's forced or your heart isn't in it. That's when it's a problem.
I think sometimes in marriages, how many people end up just staying together for the sake of the family unit, as opposed to, do they still have that connection with each other? So there's definitely a case to make for that. So maybe the religion behind it is definitely a great thing for society, to have families and a safe place to bring up kids. But in terms of how we're sort of programmed and what we actually can be attracted to for the rest of our lives, I think it's difficult to stay with the same person for a long lifetime. It
is. And also things like, I was speaking to a friend a little while ago about how you've got to, it may be all rosy in the beginning, but you've both got to sort of, to a degree, go along the same path and have the same sort of fundamental values, and people, just think of sort of maybe within a couple of years your views could change about something, or and it must be hard to keep that going, that you've got to, if you've got a different taste in music or something, or different food taste, that's not but if it's something really big that you change your mind on, and I can understand people sort of drifting apart, that you don't see eye to eye on this sort of thing anymore. That's another difficulty, I think. It's yeah. Now we touched on a certain talking of.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say now.
Do you? Go on, guess. Do you want to say her name, or shall I?
I'll let you do the honours. I'll be famous.
What, and be cut off air? Cheers for that, mate.
Yeah, cancelled.
Talking of nice Christian, loyal, committed ladies, we'll mention someone entirely different by the name of Bonnie Blue. So to the audience, I don't know if she's internationally known. I haven't done much research for this, have I? Because I just thought I just have some fun with my nephew.
Yeah.
I was getting too excited.
I think she's got to be internationally known.
Yeah.
Especially with the young guys in America, dare I say it.
Oh, really? My goodness. Well, to the audience, if you're not familiar with this delightful young lady, she had this was I think it was the early part of the year, wasn't it, Kian? I think.
Yeah, definitely this year. I think she's doing all kinds of stunts. Yeah.
All sorts of things. That's a nice way of putting it. So I think she tried to break the world record of how many men she could sleeping with. I don't think there was much sleeping done, but she could have sexual intercourse with for in the span of, I think it was 12 hours, wasn't it?
I think so,
it wasn't 24, was it?
Can't remember the time. I think it was 1,000 men all.
That's right. Yeah. I think it was 12 hours. It was apparently 12 they had 40 seconds each. They had 40 seconds each with to be wined and dined by Bonnie Blue. And and I think there were 57 waiting at the end, so she had to just be kind and do the right thing, really. So we
they've come all that way.
Oh, very good. Boom, boom. Oh, that was witty. So, I don't know if they would actually, because 40 seconds, I don't know. Anyway, so apparently it was all protected. They've got to have some sort of decency in this. So we were saying, weren't we, that would we have this? Would it be as likely to have it the other way round, where you had one guy who could service that many women? Yeah. So what were we thinking about that?
I think if you take away maybe the physical aspect of could he physically do it, I think it would be too much of an ask. But from the perspective of if he could guarantee to do it for, let's say, a 12-hour period, I still don't think you would get any woman wanting to take part in something like that. I think it goes back to what we said before about what do men or female find attractive.
Yeah.
And I think with Bonnie Blue, she's obviously a very good-looking girl, so obviously she's going to have a lot of guys who are visually interested in her. So they obviously would think, oh, absolutely, why not? But I think if it was a really good-looking guy, I just don't think you would have women who would want to do that type of thing, because, again, they would care more so about having some emotional connection with someone before they were to engage in something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I think you're right. And no man could afford to have 1,057 stalkers. That's a lot, isn't it, to think?
Yeah.
And also, where are all these guys? I mean, that would have to be a pretty big. It was somewhere in London, I think. It would have to be a pretty big. I mean, 100 is is an awful lot, but 1,057. I mean, apparently they. Sorry.
So yeah, and you got to think, I suppose, from the moral perspective, is it worse what she's doing? Because obviously she's doing it for the purpose of getting money, getting fame, which I guess to a certain degree, it's like she's making good money. So would a lot of people in that situation, but they probably wouldn't go that extreme. But for the amount of money she's probably making, some people may think, I can see why. But for the guys who are signing up to it, they're obviously not getting any money out of it. They're probably doing it for the love of the game. Is that seen as morally a bit more questionable in a sense?
Actually, yes, that's a good point. That's a good point. And how it may affect. I mean, I think there was probably more than one guy actually, but I think there was one guy in particular who his girlfriend found out, and she naturally wasn't a happy bunny. And there was another a mother that came in and sort of dragged the son out and said, "What the hell are you doing?" But it's I think you're right. I think it's I don't know. It's you wouldn't be as likely to have it the other way around.
I suppose it is. I suppose is Bonnie Blue just a result of or a product of what society is becoming to a degree?
That's scary.
Yeah,
I think that's scary.
I suppose 100 years ago, I don't think people would have even imagined something like this. They couldn't even fathom it. But nowadays, I suppose you're seeing more and more of this type of content, or people trying to do the most outrageous things to get money, to get fame. So I suppose is this just a result of sexual liberation or of what society is now?
I think you're right. And apparently a couple of years ago there was a program called, I think a radio show called Woman's Hour, and one of the subjects was about porn being kind of ruining people's relationships, in that these women are expected to do things that they wouldn't normally do, that is not like what is normal, but it's kind of this whole if you normalize things that are sort of shocking and not normal or average, then more is expected from a partner. I think I don't want to sound all Mary Whitehouse or prudy, but I can sort of get how if a man watches that, or a woman watches that, and then has this expectancy on their wedding night when they haven't had any experiences, they're going to be in for a shock.
Definitely. And I think that often is a thing that's maybe affected modern relationships and dating as well. I think especially boys and maybe even girls do view these either porn or whatnot from a relatively early age when they shouldn't be. And I think when you're consuming that in that development stage, I think that really does affect your views on women or men, and what it means to be in a relationship. I saw an interesting thing, which is men nowadays have significantly less amount of testosterone than they would have done years ago. And I don't know if maybe that could be a result of things like this or other factors, but it could definitely be a negative impact on relationships.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think, and I know I've joked with your mum before about the. I always said I blame the Bratz dolls. I don't blame the Bratz dolls for porn, but these dolls that came out. When your mum and I were nippers, we had Cindy's, and they were very they were like ballerina Cindy's, and I never gelled with Cindy. I was like, where's its gun? It's got no, so it can't do anything. It's just these ballet shoes. But Cindy always looked a bit prim and proper. She had a centre parting and no makeup, and she couldn't keep eye contact. She always looked to the left. These sort of stuck-on eyes. Anyway, come back to the point. We then had these. They were called Bratz dolls, Bratz, I think, dolls, and they basically looked like little sluts. They didn't look like brats. They looked like they should have been called sluts. SLUTZ. But I don't think they would have been able to sell them in Toys R Us. But
get banned in today's world.
Yeah. But and I remember thinking that, little girls playing with these. I know like, dolls aren't role models, but Cindy was, oh, when I grow up, I want to be a ballerina. Well, I never did, but and I'm just thinking to go from the innocence of Barbies or Cindy's to the Bratz dolls that obviously weren't innocent Cindy, and I wondered if things like that would sort of influence. Children think, oh, this is how, and even things like, it sounds silly, but like, when Madonna came on the scene, there was sort of this, not pressure, but girls sort of tried to want to look like Madonna and be a little bit rebellious and whereas before it may have been, I don't know, Brenda Lee or someone, or I don't know who these old artists are, but there was just everything. But then society does change. But it was almost like, and then she was out to shock, wasn't she? I think she brought out the sex book, and then the kiss with Sandra Bernhard. Again, it's before your time, but I think things sort of changed. Even in the face of music, that our idols, our heroes, started becoming a bit more risky, and this is the way to be then.
Yeah, I think that definitely it started shifting culturally. I suppose if you look back, I don't know, even 50, 60 years ago, what was seen as sort of appropriate to dress like is now probably seen as quite frumpy and boring. So I just think, fashion changes, and maybe it's changed in a way which is a bit more provocative, potentially.
Yes. I think you're right. I mean, going back to sort of like Elvis was couldn't be filmed from the waist down, and all he was doing was jiggling about. He had his trousers on, but he was just, there was nothing. If you saw that, you wouldn't go, oh my goodness, I can't look at that. So things definitely,
I think, a bit more less or desensitized to certain things, I suppose, as time's gone on.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder what the future's going to be like. What's going to be sort of viewed as acceptable and the norm. It is actually quite a worry. So it's quite a. But, anyway, moving on to the world of online dating.
Yes.
That's brought about a massive change, hasn't it? Things are very different now.
Yeah. I think there's just so many ways dating apps have influenced modern dating. I just think there's so many negatives that it's brought along. Just some of them which I can think of from my own perspective of using them. I just think communication is so much less in depth and just so superficial to what it is when you get that face-to-face contact with someone.
Yeah.
I just think people, maybe, how can you build any connection if you message someone, they might take like an hour to reply, and then by the time they reply, you're then doing something. I just think, I just don't get how you can build that connection with someone if you're never constantly being able to have a conversation. And that being said, they've probably got 5 or more matches they're messaging at the same time.
Yes.
So, there's just so many conversations going on at once that it's like, how are you really going to build anything if you're just doing sort of feeding people just little bits of conversation here and there and not really investing properly in that one person, which you would do if you met face to face. There's just such a prime focus on appearance with online dating, because all you have to go off of is what they look like on their profile, and you can miss out on so many other positive qualities that people might have that you would get if you met them in person, but they're just not able to show you. But there's even the fact, there's this perception with online dating that there's always a better option out there. And I think, you see the best looking people. You might have like, oh, this person likes me, so I can potentially get them if I want. And I think that leads to such a casual approach to commitment in modern dating. Yeah. Where people don't really want to invest too heavily because they're always thinking, oh, well, this person's popped up now. Now I've got this person. Now I've got this person.
Yeah.
It almost turns dating into a bit of a game where people are going on these apps, swiping, becomes a bit addictive, being like, oh, who likes me? Who can I message this time?
Yeah.
It doesn't really give it that real life connection to someone, and I think it also can even lower a lot of people's self-esteem, because there's so many people, you're going to get rejected so much.
Yes.
You're going to get ghosted so much, and it's just going to completely crush someone's self-esteem in dating. And I think definitely people nowadays are too afraid to go up to someone in person. And I think definitely dating apps have just crushed people's confidence in that sense, because they think, oh, I just keep on getting rejected online when that's meant to be my best pictures on there. What chance have I got in person?
Yeah. No, I think you're right, and there's only, like you say, there's only a few photos and a few lies to go on.
Yeah.
And this whole thing about it's almost like swiping a pack of cards, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a long time since I've done it, but from what I remember, it's like like yes, or the swipe to the left or swipe to the right or whatever it was, and well, maybe the grass is greener, and see what else is there, and trying to remember the conversation. I mean, I was always just messaging one to one at any given time, but some people sort of do it in multiple online dating, and trying to remember what conversations you've had with who. How does that work?
I just think it's so difficult for online dating to work. But I think the only positives it maybe brings is it's accessible for everyone, so everyone can give it a go, and it probably only really benefits short-term casual relationships, if anything.
Yes.
I know people can obviously find their partners, and there's been some stories of people getting married off dating apps, but I just think on the whole it really just favours short-term casual things, and then moving on to the next. I don't see it as a real good long-term option for a lot of people.
No, I think you're right, and I think I know not sure if I mentioned to you when we last spoke, but I had someone I was dating for about 18 months, something like that, and we were quite far into the relationship, and she'd said, anyway, I'm busy Wednesday because I've got to meet, I can't think what this woman's name was, and it wouldn't be right to mention it on there anyway, and it was basically someone she was speaking to before me. And I remember thinking then, so is this normal then, that you actually get with someone, but you've still got to meet the people that you've been speaking with before? This is nuts. I don't want to stop the planet. I want to get off.
I think there is a gap in the market for a revamped form of dating app, which really focuses on not having multiple people that you message at once, and also getting it to be pushed into meeting in person. I think if someone could design an app which prioritises that, I think that could really improve dating world. So if any app designers is listening to this, give that a go. But
don't let them take the copyright lies with you, Kian.
Just give me a
no one's going to nick.
Profit.
You heard it here first. I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. In fact, what was it? I think Plenty of Fish. That must be an international one. Someone called it Plenty of Fakes. And someone else said it was called Plenty of Feet because there are people taking pictures of their feet. I think, what's going on there? You meet them real life, you just expect to see this massive pair of feet. Or a cardboard cutout, because it's, again, everyone's taking the best picture of themselves. And
people just get catfished and...
there's that as well. Very very insincere. I think your idea is right. We just need I think something will have to happen along those lines, because it's just I don't think things in that line are getting any better. It's just more and more chaotic, and in the end there's going to be no relationships, I don't think. And then there was one.
No relationships, just single parents.
Which
is the way it's going.
I think it is, and it's so the role of men and women is quite different, isn't it? I mean, mentioning about sort of, how a gentleman would, in the days of equal opportunities, the women still expect the man to pay, and it's a bit cheeky. Expect the guy to pay or hold the door open, or, feminism has to work. It can't just be we want these bits, but the rest of it for convenience.
Yeah, it is an interesting one, because I think a lot of the traits probably go back to the historical view through like evolution. With, I'd say, if you take the example of the woman like a man who's a bit more dominant, I think that is true to a certain extent. If dominant means being like assertive, a leader, confident, protective, but I think where the line gets a bit misconstrued is when it leads into it overbearing, a bit becoming a dictator. So I think there is those views in modern society still where women do have a certain preference to a guy who is a bit more like that. I think there is a line.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I find myself, so I tend to open the door. It's just out of politeness. I open the door before I see the gender. But if it's a guy, it's sometimes a bit physically awkward if he's taller than me and I'm a short ass and I'm trying to. So for practical purposes, but sometimes there's this whole, and I don't know. Let me. Not that he would verbalise that, but you can tell that they feel it's their role to sort of take over, and it's almost like I want to say, no, it's okay, let me do it for you, just because you're a guy, you don't, you be treated by a lady for, not calling myself a lady, but by a woman for a change, because
I it's interesting you say it, because I don't know if maybe in a generation which hasn't had this, but I would sort of open the door and not even think if I'm opening it for a man. If there's someone behind me or in front of me, man or woman, I would always just open the door for them in a sense, and keep it open if they're just following in behind me. I've never really thought about it as I'm holding it open for a woman.
That's nice.
So I don't know if maybe that, if I'm speaking on behalf of everyone, or if that's just my own personal views, but I don't see it too much in today's society. Maybe I do see it in the terms of slightly older men. If you're on public transport, maybe there is still that inclination to give up your seat for a woman.
Yes.
So that kind of thing I do see. But would I ever do it? I don't know if that sounds... It sounds bad if I wouldn't give up my seat, because I think in today's society I'd be a bit cautious of doing that, in case she then takes it in a negative light of being like, oh, why are you giving it up to me? Do you think I'm too weak to stand? So I sort of use both sides.
No, I'm with you. I mean, I suppose unless someone's, I don't know, maybe disabled or heavily pregnant or something, or
definitely.
But no, I do you know, I do feel for you guys, because I'd be worried about, am I doing the right or wrong thing? Because women can get a bit hissy-fitty, and I would.
I think it's just being. I think for guys, you've got to get that balance right, don't you? Of, you want to be confident and assertive, but you don't want it to come across in a controlling or negative light. I think it's such a fine line to do that in today's dating, especially because there's such like a focus on it.
Yes, I think on the whole, a lady likes a gentleman to be a gentleman, but like you say, we're in a very different world now. But the woman would have to be sort of old school, I suppose. And then the man used to, actually, my dad's not terribly mobile now, but he would still sort of, if we were walking down the road, he'd have to like walk on the outside. I thought that was quite sweet. That used to be a gentleman thing, didn't it? Yeah. Walk on the, I don't know what that was. That was either to stop the woman being trampled on by a horse that might be, or it was, I don't know if you know the reason, or when people used to sort of empty their human waste out of the window, that the man would take it rather than the woman. But maybe someone was winding me up. I know there was a reason for why the man had to walk.
I wouldn't No, actually,
on the outside.
I've always seen it as more of a gesture. Because when it's like on a busy road, maybe you keep them away from just take them a bit further away from the flow of traffic. That's how I sort of viewed it. So they're not like too close to the cars they're whizzing past. But I like that's an example I think is definitely prevalent in dating now.
Yes.
It's still a gesture that a lot of girls, I do think, would like from a guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's interesting that there is still that view from women that they do like to be treated in that way.
Yes.
And maybe that just won't be something that goes away.
Yeah, I hope not, because we still need to have like this difference. And, I hope that will always be there. Which brings us on to, looking at the difference and how I think men have a rougher time of it, really. We've mentioned, haven't we, Kian, roughly about when we think of someone who's an abuser, we I can't speak on behalf of everyone, I think generally people automatically think of male.
Yeah.
And how, female to male abuse is kind of, I don't know about if it's sniggered at, but it's not taken quite as seriously. And it's what, do you feel that?
Yeah, I think from a societal perspective, people often view men as being, I suppose, physiologically even, men typically are stronger and taller than women. So I think if a guy says he's getting physically abused by a woman, the view always seems to be, you're bigger and stronger. How's that possible? So I think that's why maybe it's not taken as seriously. But I definitely think, there are obviously cases of it. But I think often men are a bit more ashamed to come out and say if an experience like that has happened because of the fear of what society would think of them, like a weak man, and how can they take that. But what is the correct steps for them to do? Because obviously they couldn't do anything back to the woman, obviously.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a part of them which doesn't want to take any other legal action because they don't want to lose them in that relationship. So I think they can definitely be stuck in a position like that.
Yes, and I think, the woman, it is dreadful. The woman tends to be more believed, again, because it's a man, and sure, you're stronger and more capable. She tends to be more believed than the guy, which is very sad.
Yeah, which I suppose maybe links into the reason why men can't say anything, because she can easily just twist it back on him, going like, no, he was the one abusing me.
Yeah.
And I suppose 99% of the time they would believe the woman.
Yeah.
If there's no evidence, you're always going to believe the woman's side over the man's.
Yeah, but it's awful.
Yeah, I suppose it's got to take the right. You almost have to have a man get literal video evidence if they're ever going to come forward, which is sad.
It is, and it's it shouldn't be that way. It should. And there was they did a social experiment. It's on YouTube, a couple of clips, and they were actors, and it was a guy. I think the woman was on the phone or something, and the guy said, "Who are you speaking to?" And I think he slapped the phone out of her hand, and then he slapped her, and the people, rushing into, "Are you okay? Get off her!" And then they did the same experiment with a woman doing it to the man, and he was hard, and no one came to his aid, or maybe one person did, but it was very, very minimal. People sort of like nudging, and he. It was very much taken lightly, and I thought that is dreadful, and it's how we. And again, it's harder for men because the whole thing of boys don't cry and man up. That's I hate that term, man up. And it must.
I don't know where that comes from with men needing to suppress their emotion. I think I think society has made it so any men that shows emotion must be weak or or they're
Yeah.
not going to be the dominant, like, confident person that women often find attractive. And maybe it's a fear of being unattractive towards women.
Oh, actually,
they
that's true.
that emotion in.
That's a good point. Yeah. Which is sad, because I think a woman would find a man more attractive who can cry and open up and, you know, bawl his eyes out if he needs to.
Yeah. Definitely any sort of girl I've spoken to before, they have always made a point saying that is an attractive thing when a guy is in touch with his emotions.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
I've always found that interesting, because it sort of goes against what you think from a society, but when you actually speak to people individually, they tend to actually like it when a guy has some kind of emotion.
Yes.
They show it.
And also, yeah, because I guess women together are sort of, you know, women bond with women, they go shopping and they talk about it, they have a good old, you know, chinwag and stuff, and I suppose to have that in a partner would sort of bring them closer and mean so much more.
Yeah, I suppose, like we originally sort of said about female attraction, or why females cheat, is because they're emotionally dissatisfied in their relationship.
Yeah.
And I think if they can see a guy be emotional and vulnerable with them, I think it just deepens that connection that they have towards him.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. I know Lee Evans. Have you seen much of Lee Evans?
No, I'm not too sure.
He's very funny, but I think he's quite in touch with his emotions, actually. He's always joking about him and his wife and the difference between men and women, and, you know, and he's very humorous with it. And he says about how his missus, you know, she gets on the phone and, you know, she'll just make a phone call and say, I'm just phoning you, Rita, or whatever, say, how you doing? Just how you doing? And he said, I couldn't phone my mate John and just say, all right, John, just thought I'd give you a ring and say, how you doing? Say, hey, steady on Lee, you know. And I don't know if that's a thing, but, you know, he'll say about a woman can just phone to check up on her mate, but it's if a man did it, it would have to be for a reason that he's phoned. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, I think definitely that is true. I don't know if you've seen this trend going around recently on TikTok. It's a guy or an older guy would call a friend of his and just say goodnight to them.
Right.
And then all the reactions are like, why are you calling me? What do you want? And it can never just be I'm just calling to say have a good night and speak to you soon.
Oh, wow.
It's quite interesting, I suppose, because even my perspective, if a friend called me up and just was like saying good night, hope you had a good day, it would throw me off. It would think, is he about to like do something? Is it what's wrong with him? I wouldn't. I wouldn't think like, oh, he's just genuinely caring about me. It just seems such a thing which doesn't happen between guys.
Oh, that's interesting. And also, actually, something we haven't covered, just come into my head about I used to hate this. I hope it doesn't happen again. You're in a, I don't know, eatery, and a woman goes to the lavvy, and their mates, oh, I'll go with you. Oh, no, just stay there. I don't want you to hear me pee. You know, but is it right that if a man did that, oh, I'll come with you? It's oh, hang on.
Yeah, it's true. That's one thing that's always fascinated me. Whenever you're in a social situation, girls always go to the toilet in packs. They never go individually, and that's one thing I've never got my head around.
Neither have I. I don't. It's one of the mysteries of life. It's just really odd. In fact, in one of the I once took a picture of it. I'd send it if I've still got it. I don't think I have. In town, in our town centre audience, there's a cubicle with two lavvies in, and I'm thinking surely that's not for two mates to go in and do your stuff, but it must be for. I'm hoping it's for like a woman and child, but I'm thinking, would you get that in? I've never been in a men's toilets, but I think would you get that in men's toilets? I don't know.
Yeah, surely not. There's an unwritten rule when men go to the toilet in terms of what urinals they're allowed to use when a guy is on one of them.
Oh, really?
Every guy just they learn it from an early age.
Ah, okay. So that I'm with you. So you wouldn't sort of go to the one hang on, urinal. So that's not the cubicle. That's the. Would it be you wouldn't stand next to your mate and have a wee?
Oh no, absolutely not. It would be looked down upon, definitely.
Oh, isn't it funny? Because women are the reverse. I think they would sort of. Oh, maybe I should have been a bloke in that sort of sense, just on the going to the toilet front.
I'd definitely like to be. I don't know if that maybe my own sort of view, which I thought of, is it they're in a social situation. They don't want to be the one to go to the toilet or restroom for the American audience, and then come back and then not be included in the social situation at that time. Is it if they're in a group, they can come back into it a bit easier? I don't know if there's any truth behind that, but it's just a theory.
That's actually you could have some. I think you're spot on there. I think that does make sense. And also, women are more sort of bitchy, aren't they? So maybe they don't want anything happening behind their back.
Yeah, that's probably true. And they probably then want to talk about people while they're in the restroom.
Yeah. Yes, probably. Oh, dear. Oh, Kian, this hour has just gone. This has been a bizarre conversation, but it's been a hoot.
Yeah, it's been really interesting.
It has, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much for having me on.
Oh, that's okay. Maybe we could do a part 2 sometime, because this is it's quite an expansive subject. So, thank you so much, dear chap. My nephew. I like being an auntie because I haven't been a real life auntie. Lovely. I like that even more.
My other ones don't hear that on this.
I was just gonna say, it was just we're just shh. Oh, I'll pay you later. Thank you so much, dear chap. It's been a real pleasure to speak to you, and I hope to the audience, I hope you've enjoyed this, and until next time, lots of love and God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.